All right, so it's 7:30 Sunday morning, and we're back at it. I read some of you guys' comments last night, and one of you suggested that I cut the quarters. And I didn't want to do that originally because I wanted to kind of keep a shorter quarter. Just lengthen the doors, make a shorter quarter. But you're right. I think it was one BLK man. He suggested it. To cut the quarters and extend the quarters out, it'll give, a little more of a truck feel, I guess. And honestly, I think you're right. If I chop this thing, it doesn't matter where in the quarter. I'd probably try to keep it kind of close up here, though. So take all this forward and integrate it into this. I think that's probably the smartest move. The more I think about it, is what I'd have to do before we do any of this. Is I'm going to have to do something with these rocker panels and get a little bit of structure back in this body. Because once I cut this floor out of it, it's done. This thing's just going to collapse in half. And the floor has been patched with, somebody pop riveted a bunch of metal in it years and years ago. I'm going to keep the rear part of the floor. So basically, like from here, maybe back. I'm going to try to keep what's here. And use the actual truck floor. That floor, what's left of it. So what I'm going to do, I think first thing this morning, I need to get all the leaves, the crap, the seats. I need to lighten this thing up as much as possible. I get the spare tire off it. The bumper's got to come off of it. I need to get all this cleaned up, get all the stuff out of this truck. I've got to figure out where I'm going to cut this cowl panel. I think is what I'm going to do, honestly, is I think I'm going to get right in here, right about where that bracket is, and I'm just going to zip it all the way across the top there. There's not much in there other than the wiper transmission. And then I think I'm going to cut this right here. I'm going to get this windshield, what's left of the windshield out, and get all that cut. I might just take the Sawzall and just trim this dash up a little more. I think I'm going to try to use this factory dash only because it's got heat. The gauges all work. We'll have a radio, a defroster. We'll actually be able to keep the airbags in it if we want. So I think I'm going to try to keep this dashboard and make it work into here. This dash, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. But to make the heater controls and everything work as it should, it's just... that's the reason why I'm doing this. I want the creature comforts of a newer vehicle, but with an older look. So I think that's where we're going to go with that. But I have a lot of mess to clean up. Like these, I'll take this all out back. Get these seats out of here. Take all this out back. I think I have a third row seat out of an Explorer that's still good, even though it's tan, but we could dye it, whatever. That I'll put in here for a back seat. But the thing I want to do, the dogs love to go for a RIDE. I can't say the word. But so this will be like a, just a run around town, take the dogs for that RIDE, and drive it to work here and there and whatnot. I don't care about a roof or any of that, but it would be kind of nice to have the defroster and a little bit of heat, even though you're in an open top vehicle. And you guys that have owned Jeeps know, you get on a little bit of a chilly night, even though you got no doors and no top, that little bit of heat coming out of that dashboard is kind of nice once in a while. You feel it, believe it or not. So I think that's where we're going to go right now. I haven't figured this situation out yet. We will. I think is what we need to concentrate on is getting this onto here. So there's a lot of trimming I got to do. I got a lot of measuring to do. I am definitely using the firewall of the truck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plasma cutter and I'm going to cut right here pretty much all the way around. Maybe down a little bit lower because of the hood hinges. I want to try to keep the original hood hinges, so we might have to cut it down into here. But I got all this stuff to get off of this firewall as well. We got to get this one cleaned up, the wiper transmission out of it. I got to move some wiring around. I mean, I've left everything hooked up. This truck will start and drive. You know, and it's another reason why I didn't want to do a drivetrain transfer is because, I mean, I have no clue what condition the rear end's in this. I mean, you're talking all old school, old technology up here. I mean, I'm going to have probably $1,000 at least just making brakes work on this thing. Everything's here. So this is one of those builds. I purchased this. I purchased this. I don't want to spend any other money other than, you know, maybe fasteners, nuts, bolts, couple lights, whatever. This is all about building something out of what you have. Junk to driver, I did a series on that with an old rollover. All right, kind of the same deal. We're taking two junks and we're going to turn it into a driver. So that's what I'm going to do today. I don't think I'm going to start cutting on this yet because I'm still trying to pull together some ideas with this. Again, once I start cutting this body, it's going to lose its structure. The thing's just going to fold. So I need to figure out what I got to do with the rockers on this. You know, there's going to be actual measuring at this point. I'm going to have to get a little bit of steel so I could make something to weld to here because this truck's obviously, you know, it's an '08 Canyon. I keep calling it a Colorado, but it's a Canyon. But we're going to have to make some kind of sills for these rockers to sit on. So yeah, I think that's what I need to do today. We're going to concentrate on this some more. The bulk of the cutting is all done. Now, is what I was thinking, which I don't think I'm going to do at this point, this bed floor, or this was the back of the bed, or the front of the bed, actually, the front wall. I figured lean it down, we can cut it out, and this will be actually part of the floor. But this is going to go. We're going to get rid of all this. I was thinking now going toward more of a pickup, El Camino type theme, open top, El Camino type theme. So we might not even put a back seat in it. We'll see how good the floor is of the bed on the other vehicle. If the bed floor is okay, maybe I'll drag it back up here and get the torch and cut the bulk of the floor out of that bed. I don't know. Lots of ideas going through my head, especially after reading you guys' comments. That's why I like your input. You know, I try to think of everything I can myself, but it's like, you know, every little bit of input does really help. Like these brackets, these are going to be too wide to fit in this body. So I got to figure out where I'm going to cut these because this is a good, you know, it's a good structure point, especially for the rigidity of the dash. You know, after cutting all this up, obviously driving it through the yard, the dash is, you know, moving around and things like that. So we got to figure out how to make all this and this mate and be solid. You want it to feel solid. So that's what I'm going to do. I might do another video later. My daughter's here. She's in bed right now, so I don't know when she gets up. We might go to breakfast or something. So you guys aren't going to get bombarded with videos today like you did yesterday. But I did promise you a series on something, and you guys are getting it. So that's where we're at. It would be cool to keep this original dash, but I don't think it's going to be feasible. It's not going to really work out. It'll look cool, but I'm more about function on this whole project than looking cool. But looking cool is definitely a cool factor. Another thing that sucks about having to lengthen this body is this top, it's other than the canvas is all here, which sucks. But we're not going to have much of a choice. I mean, the thing's got to get lengthened just a few inches, and I think it's all going to happen right in here, right in this area. So again, I think I'm going to cut it somewheres up in here, closer to the door. We're going to leave the doors. We're going to cut it up here and make up for our inches there, so we have a little bit of foot room to get in and out of this truck. That's where I'm at right now. More input. Off.